The P-51 Mustang is widely considered one of the most influential fighter aircraft in the history of warfare. Its design and impact on World War II air combat were so profound that the Mustang is still regarded as a symbol of Allied victory in the European theater. Initially, the United States Army Air Forces, USAF, had trouble finding an aircraft capable of providing long-range protection for bombers, which were crucial for strategic bombing campaigns over Europe. The arrival of the P-51 Mustang in 1944 changed the course of the air war and cemented its place as a game-changer. The origins of the P-51 Mustang go back to 1940, when North American Aviation, a relatively young company, was tasked with designing a fast, lightweight fighter for the British Royal Air Force. At the time, the RAF was facing an urgent need for fighters to defend against the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, which was outmatching most Allied aircraft. The initial version, the P-51A, was a good start, but lacked the range and power to fulfill the USAF's strategic bombing needs. The crucial turning point came when the aircraft was upgraded with the powerful Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. This engine, which had been used successfully in the British Spitfire, gave the Mustang remarkable speed, altitude, and range. The new P-51B version, equipped with the Merlin engine, could now fly long distances and reach speeds of over 430 miles per hour, outperforming many of the Luftwaffe's best fighters, such as the Messerschmitt Bf-109 and Focke-Wulf FW-190. With a range of over 1,000 miles, the P-51 could escort heavy bombers on raids deep into enemy territory, providing crucial protection against German interceptors. Before the P-51, Allied bombers had suffered tremendous losses on long-range missions due to the lack of fighter escorts. Bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress and B-24 Liberator were vulnerable to attacks from German fighters. The introduction of the P-51 drastically reduced these losses, allowing bomber crews to complete their missions more effectively. As a result, the P-51 became not only an indispensable part of the bomber escorts, but also a dominant force in dogfighting. The P-51's remarkable performance in the skies over Europe would help to tilt the balance of air superiority in favor of the Allies. By the time the war ended, the Mustang had become one of the most successful fighters of World War II, and its influence is still felt in the design and capabilities of modern military aircraft. The journey of the P-51 Mustang to becoming one of the most iconic fighter aircraft in World War II was far from straightforward. Early in its development, the aircraft faced a series of struggles and design challenges that threatened to derail its success. While the initial P-51 prototype showed promise, it lacked the critical performance features needed to succeed in the demanding conditions of the war. When North American Aviation (NAA) was first tasked with designing a fighter for the British Royal Air Force (RAF, the idea was to produce an aircraft that could quickly outpace enemy fighters, offer good maneuverability, and be relatively simple to produce. The initial version of the Mustang, the P-51A, entered service in 1941, but it did not perform as expected in several key areas. While it was fast and agile, it was hindered by a lack of range and a lower engine power compared to its contemporaries, such as the Messerschmitt Bf-109 and Focke-Wulf F-900, which were becoming the main adversaries of the Allied forces. In particular, the P-51A's Allison He 1710 engine was a significant limitation. While this engine was adequate for shorter-range engagements, it lacked the horsepower needed for high-altitude performance and long-duration flights. This made the aircraft unsuitable for the role it was intended for, escorting bombers deep into enemy territory. The aircraft's limitations were quickly realized by both British and American forces, which led to calls for improvements. The breakthrough came when the British requested an upgrade for the Mustang. The solution was to replace the Allison engine with the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, which had been used with great success in the British Supermarine Spitfire. The Merlin engine offered the P-51 significant improvements in speed, altitude, and overall performance, transforming it into a highly effective long-range fighter. This version, known as the P-51B, was a marked improvement. It could now fly at over 430 miles per hour and had a combat range of over 1,000 miles, which allowed it to accompany bombers on long missions such as the critical raids over Germany. The newly powerful P-51B proved itself in combat time and again, easily outclassing the Luftwaffe's best fighters. Despite these improvements, the Mustang still faced obstacles in gaining full acceptance. Early critics believed that the aircraft's design was too unconventional, with its long nose and tail-heavy structure. However, as more pilots flew the P-51, they quickly realized that the aircraft's performance far outweighed any initial doubts. Soon, the Mustang was proving to be one of the most versatile and feared aircraft in the skies. The P-51 Mustang became a critical asset in the United States Army Air Force's USAF strategic bombing campaigns during World War II, particularly in the role of bomber escort. Before the Mustang's introduction, Allied bombers such as the B-17 Flying Fortress and B-24 Liberator had struggled to complete their long-range missions without heavy losses. The German Luftwaffe, which was already a formidable air force, would intercept these bombers at their most vulnerable points, resulting in devastating casualties. However, the arrival of the Mustang completely changed the dynamics of aerial combat and bomber protection. Before the Mustang, bombers were escorted by short-range fighters that could only protect them for a limited distance. These fighters often had to peel off before reaching the target, leaving bombers exposed to attack by enemy fighters during the final stages of their missions. This vulnerability resulted in heavy losses of bombers, particularly in raids over Nazi-occupied Europe. Allied forces needed a fighter that could protect their bombers throughout the entirety of their long missions, from takeoff to return. With its impressive 1,000-mile range and ability to fly at high speeds, the P-51 Mustang was the solution to this problem. The Mustang's long-range capabilities enabled it to escort bombers well into enemy territory and back. For the first time, bombers could rely on a fighter to cover them for the entire length of their missions. This drastically reduced bomber losses and allowed Allied forces to increase their bombing raids on German industrial sites, transportation hubs, and military positions. Additionally, the P-51 Mustang's effectiveness in the bomber escort role was enhanced by its superior speed, firepower, and agility. When enemy fighters attempted to intercept the bombers, the P-51 could engage them in dogfights. The Mustang's 6.50 caliber machine guns and its ability to outpace and outmaneuver many of the Luftwaffe's best fighters, such as the Bf-109 and FW-190, made it a formidable adversary. The Mustang could not only defend bombers, but also neutralize the threats posed by enemy aircraft, ensuring the bombers' safety and the success of their missions. This newfound ability to protect bombers transformed Allied air operations. The P-51 Mustang helped the USAF achieve air superiority over Europe, ensuring that critical bombing campaigns, such as the raids over Germany's industrial heartland, could be carried out with much higher success rates. The results were clear: fewer bombers lost in combat, more strategic targets hit, and a significant reduction in the Luftwaffe's ability to interfere with Allied operations. When the P-51 Mustang first entered combat in 1944, it quickly became evident that this aircraft was a game-changer. Prior to the Mustang's arrival, the Allies had been struggling to maintain air superiority over Nazi-occupied Europe. While the P-47 Thunderbolt and P-38 Lightning had provided some support, neither could offer the combination of speed, range, and maneuverability that the P-51 Mustang could. With its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine and streamlined design, the Mustang quickly proved its superiority in a variety of combat scenarios. The P-51 Mustang's top speed of over 440 miles per hour made it one of the fastest fighters of its time, outpacing many of the German Luftwaffe's best aircraft, including the Messerschmitt Bf-109 and Focke-Wulf FW-190. This speed, combined with its long-range capabilities, gave the Mustang a distinct advantage in the air. Unlike previous fighter aircraft, the Mustang could stay in combat for long durations without needing to turn back for refueling. This allowed it to escort bombers deep into enemy territory, providing protection that had been sorely lacking in previous Allied bombing campaigns. In addition to its impressive speed and range, the P-51 Mustang was also highly maneuverable. Its aerodynamic design made it a highly agile fighter, allowing it to engage in dogfights with enemy aircraft and come out victorious. The Mustang's ability to climb quickly and outmaneuver enemy fighters in high-speed turns made it a formidable opponent in aerial combat. In fact, many pilots reported that the Mustang could outfly and outfight many of the Luftwaffe's best aircraft. The Mustang's armament also played a crucial role in its success. Equipped with 6.50 caliber Browning machine guns, the Mustang had the firepower to take down enemy bombers and fighters with ease. These machine guns could deliver devastating firepower, tearing through the fuselage and wings of enemy aircraft. The Mustang's heavy firepower was particularly effective against the Luftwaffe's bombers and their escorts, making it an invaluable asset to Allied forces. The Mustang's performance in combat quickly earned it a reputation as one of the deadliest fighters in the war. It was credited with shooting down hundreds of enemy aircraft and significantly reducing the Luftwaffe's ability to interfere with Allied bombing campaigns. Its ability to both protect bombers and engage enemy fighters made it an indispensable part of the Allied war effort in Europe. The arrival of the P-51 Mustang in 1944 marked a turning point in the air war over Europe. Prior to its introduction, the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, had dominated the skies over Europe. With advanced aircraft like the Messerschmitt Bf 109 and Focke-Wulf FW-190, the Luftwaffe had a significant advantage over Allied forces. However, the P-51 Mustang would soon change that dynamic and shift the balance of air superiority in favor of the Allies. One of the key advantages the P-51 Mustang brought to the table was its superior speed and firepower. The Bf 109, one of the Luftwaffe's most experienced and reliable fighters, was already a formidable adversary, capable of reaching speeds around 360 miles per hour. However, the Mustang could easily outpace the Bf 109, reaching speeds of over 400 miles per hour. This speed differential was crucial in combat, allowing Mustang pilots to engage the enemy at advantageous speeds and distances. Additionally, the Mustang's Rolls-Royce Merlin engine provided exceptional power at high altitudes, making it an ideal opponent for German aircraft that often operated at high altitudes to intercept bombers. The FW-190, another powerful Luftwaffe fighter, was well regarded for its versatility in combat. It was known for its strong construction and its ability to perform well in both high-speed and low-speed combat. The FW-190 could dive quickly and perform sharp turns, making it a dangerous adversary. However, the Mustang's superior agility, combined with its 6.50 caliber machine guns, gave it a significant edge in dogfights. The Mustang's ability to outmaneuver and outlast both the Bf 109 and FW-190 allowed it to challenge the Luftwaffe effectively, particularly in the heat of close-quarters dogfighting. As the war progressed, German pilots began to fear the presence of the P-51 Mustang in the skies. No longer could they rely on their Bf 109 or FW-190 to defend their bombers effectively. Mustang pilots quickly learned the tactics needed to engage and defeat these Luftwaffe fighters. In many cases, Mustang pilots would use their speed and altitude advantage to initiate the attack, diving on enemy fighters before they could react. This tactic proved incredibly effective in knocking out enemy aircraft before they had the chance to retaliate. As a result, the Luftwaffe's once dominant position in the skies over Europe began to erode. The Mustang's ability to not only protect bombers, but also take the fight directly to the Luftwaffe turned the tide of air superiority. By the end of the war, the P-51 Mustang had effectively neutralized the Luftwaffe's best fighters, and German air superiority was no more. The P-51 Mustang was not just a powerful fighter in individual engagements, it was a key component of the Allied strategy to break Nazi Germany's war effort. Its ability to provide long-range escort for bombers had a profound impact on the success of the strategic bombing campaigns carried out by the United States Army Air Forces. The ability to protect bombers as they flew deep into enemy territory became a game-changer for the Allies, allowing them to target critical industrial sites in Germany without suffering catastrophic losses. Prior to the introduction of the P-51, Allied bombers such as the B-17 Flying Fortress and B-24 Liberator had suffered severe losses during bombing raids over German-occupied Europe. The bombers could only be escorted by fighters for short distances due to the limited range of Allied aircraft. This left bombers vulnerable to Luftwaffe fighters during the latter stages of their missions, where they were at their most vulnerable. As a result, a high percentage of bombers were lost, and the effectiveness of the bombing raids was significantly diminished. When the P-51 Mustang was introduced, its long-range capability allowed bombers to be escorted all the way to their targets and back. This changed the dynamics of the air war. For the first time, the USAAF could carry out long-range strategic bombing missions without worrying about enemy fighters picking off bombers during the final stages of their flights. The Mustang was able to protect bombers as they flew deep into Nazi-controlled territory, targeting key industrial sites, transportation hubs, and military installations across Germany. The strategic bombing campaign had a significant impact on the German war effort. The Allies were able to cripple German production, destroying factories that manufactured weapons, aircraft, and other military equipment. The bombing raids also disrupted the German transportation system, making it harder for the Wehrmacht to move troops and supplies efficiently. The combined effect of these attacks weakened Germany's ability to sustain its military operations, ultimately contributing to the Allies' success on the battlefield. Moreover, the P-51 Mustang played a crucial role in the air superiority efforts that accompanied the bombing campaign. As German air power was weakened by the Mustang's dominance, the Luftwaffe was forced to divert more resources to defending against the Mustang. This made it increasingly difficult for Germany to mount effective counterattacks against the Allies in the air. The Mustang's role in ensuring Allied air dominance helped pave the way for the successful D-Day invasion and the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. The arrival of the P-51 Mustang in the skies over Europe did not just have a tactical impact on the Luftwaffe, it had a profound psychological effect on German pilots and the Luftwaffe as a whole. Until 1944, the Luftwaffe had enjoyed a position of relative dominance in the skies over Europe, but the introduction of the Mustang marked the beginning of the end for German air superiority. The psychological blow to German morale was as significant as the physical destruction of their aircraft. Before the P-51's arrival, German pilots had grown accustomed to engaging Allied bombers and fighters with relative ease, especially in the absence of long-range fighter escorts for bombers. The Bf-109 and Fw-190 were highly capable fighters, and the Luftwaffe had gained a reputation for precision and deadly effectiveness. However, when the Mustang entered the equation, it upended the balance of power. The Mustang's speed, range, and firepower made it a formidable adversary that even the Luftwaffe's elite pilots found difficult to deal with. German pilots, who had once been accustomed to dominating the skies, now found themselves facing an opponent that could outpace them, outmaneuver them, and outgun them. The psychological toll of engaging in combat with the Mustang was significant. Luftwaffe pilots began to fear the sight of the Mustang in the skies. Many would report feeling a sense of dread upon encountering a Mustang, knowing that the odds of survival were slim. The Mustang's reputation grew quickly among the Luftwaffe ranks, and the fear of facing it in combat began to erode German pilots' confidence. The P-51 Mustang's impact on Luftwaffe morale went beyond individual dogfights. As the war progressed, the Allies continued to increase the number of P-51s deployed in Europe. This growing presence in the skies, coupled with the destruction of key German fighters and bombers, sent a clear message. The Luftwaffe was no longer the dominant force it once was. German pilots were increasingly forced to fight a losing battle against an opponent that could match them at every turn and often best them. The Luftwaffe's ability to maintain air superiority also suffered from the growing realization that it could no longer keep up with the pace at which the Allies were producing aircraft. As the Allies ramped up production of P-51s, the Luftwaffe found itself outnumbered in the air, unable to defend against the relentless Mustang. This caused significant strain on German resources and manpower, as pilots were not only fighting an ever-growing number of enemy aircraft, but also battling the growing uncertainty about their ability to win the war. The P-51 Mustang played a pivotal role in shaping the outcome of World War II, particularly in the European theater. Its introduction in 1944 not only shifted the balance of air superiority, but also had a direct impact on the success of the Allied invasion of Normandy and the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. The aircraft's long-range capabilities, firepower, and strategic value transformed the Allied approach to air combat and strategic bombing, significantly weakening Germany's ability to resist Allied advances. Before the Mustang, the United States and its allies had struggled to maintain air superiority over Germany. The Luftwaffe had effectively thwarted many bombing raids due to the absence of long-range fighter escorts. American bombers such as the B-17 Flying Fortress and B-24 Liberator suffered significant losses as German fighters intercepted them during their return flights. The Allies were in dire need of a solution to this problem, and the Mustang emerged as the key to securing air dominance. The Mustang's long-range escort capabilities allowed the Allies to carry out sustained bombing campaigns deep into German-occupied territory. This was critical in weakening Germany's industrial capacity, as key factories, transportation networks, and military installations were targeted. The ability to consistently bomb these sites without fear of heavy losses from enemy fighters crippled Nazi Germany's war machine and hindered its ability to produce weapons, vehicles, and ammunition at the required scale. Beyond its strategic bombing role, the P-51 Mustang also contributed directly to the success of D-Day and the Allied push into France. The Allies needed air superiority in the days leading up to and following the Normandy invasion to ensure that the landing forces could move freely without the threat of Luftwaffe interference. With the Mustang escorting bombers and engaging German fighters, the Allies gained the upper hand in the skies, allowing the invasion to proceed with significantly fewer obstacles. Furthermore, the Mustang's dominance in the skies helped facilitate the advance of Allied ground forces in France and beyond. As German air capabilities diminished, their ability to provide air support for their ground troops was severely reduced. The loss of Luftwaffe aircraft also meant that German forces were more vulnerable to Allied attacks, both from the air and on the ground. The P-51 Mustang effectively neutralized the Luftwaffe's ability to defend German territory, allowing Allied forces to advance with greater speed and efficiency. Ultimately, the P-51 Mustang contributed directly to the collapse of Nazi Germany. By the time the war ended, the Luftwaffe had been severely crippled, and its ability to challenge Allied forces in the air had been shattered. The Mustang's superior performance in the air and its ability to protect bombers on long-range missions were instrumental in ensuring the success of Allied operations and the defeat of Germany. The P-51 Mustang's legacy stretches far beyond its contribution to World War II. As one of the most successful and influential fighter aircraft in history, the Mustang continues to serve as a symbol of innovation, engineering excellence, and military strategy. Its impact on air combat and the global perception of technological advancement is still felt today, both in military aviation and in popular culture. After World War II, the P-51 Mustang did not simply fade into history. It continued to be used by several air forces around the world well into the 1950s and even beyond.
In post-war conflicts, the Mustang was deployed in roles ranging from reconnaissance to ground attack missions, proving that its versatility went beyond its original design as a bomber escort. In some nations, the Mustang was even used for training purposes, where its excellent handling characteristics made it an ideal platform for teaching pilots advanced flying techniques. Moreover, the P-51 Mustang's enduring legacy is closely tied to the cultural memory of World War II. The aircraft is frequently featured in documentaries, books, films, and even air shows, where it remains a favorite among aviation enthusiasts. Its iconic appearance, with its sleek lines, long nose, and distinctive propeller, is instantly recognizable and continues to evoke nostalgia for the sacrifices and victories of the Allied forces during the war. The P-51 Mustang also left an indelible mark on the development of modern fighter aircraft. Many of the design principles that made the Mustang so effective in combat, such as its powerful engine, aerodynamic efficiency, and long-range capabilities, have influenced the design of subsequent generations of fighter planes. Aircrafts like the F-15 Eagle, F-22 Raptor, and F-35 Lightning II owe much of their success to the lessons learned from the Mustang's exceptional performance during World War II. The Mustang's place in aviation history was solidified when it became a subject of preservation for enthusiasts and collectors. Many P-51 Mustangs are now meticulously restored and flown at air shows around the world, with some being preserved in museums, where they serve as a testament to the bravery of the pilots who flew them. These restored aircraft not only honor the legacy of the Mustang, but also provide a connection to the past for younger generations who may not have witnessed its combat success firsthand. In addition to its military legacy, the Mustang became a symbol of American ingenuity and resourcefulness. Built at a time when the United States was still grappling with the realities of war, the Mustang's design, development, and production exemplified the nation's ability to quickly adapt and innovate. The aircraft's success proved that necessity truly is the mother of invention, and its achievements continue to inspire generations of engineers, pilots, and military strategists alike.
In conclusion, the P-51 Mustang is widely regarded as one of the most influential and successful fighter aircraft of World War II, and for good reason. Its introduction not only tipped the scales of air superiority in favor of the Allies, but also had a lasting impact on the course of the war and military aviation as a whole. The Mustang's combination of speed, firepower, agility, and long-range capabilities made it the ultimate game-changer in the skies over Europe. Prior to the Mustang, the Luftwaffe had been a dominant force in the European skies, with German aircraft like the Bf-109 and FW-190 holding significant advantages in speed, agility, and firepower. However, the arrival of the Mustang, with its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine and powerful armament, rendered the Luftwaffe's fighters less effective. The P-51 could outrun, outclimb, and outmaneuver many of the Luftwaffe's best planes, giving the Allies a superior edge in combat. It also brought with it a new level of protection for bombers, allowing Allied air forces to execute strategic bombing campaigns deep into Nazi-occupied Europe without fear of devastating losses. The Mustang's ability to change the dynamics of air combat was most evident in its role as a bomber escort. Prior to the P-51, bombers, like the B-17 Flying Fortress, were vulnerable during their missions. Without the protection of long-range escorts, bombers were often picked off by enemy fighters as they neared their targets. But with the Mustang's superior range, it could stay with bombers for the entire duration of their missions, flying as far as 1,000 miles into enemy territory and providing much-needed protection against German interceptors. This transformation allowed the USAAF to carry out daylight strategic bombing missions, which became a key part of the effort to cripple Nazi Germany's industrial war machine. The P-51 Mustang's impact was not limited to its role in bomber escorts.
As the Allies gained air superiority, the Luftwaffe was forced to divert more and more of its resources to defending against the Mustang. With each successive engagement, the Mustang reduced Germany's ability to field capable fighters. The Luftwaffe's losses compounded over time, severely limiting its ability to mount effective counterattacks and ultimately contributing to its collapse. Beyond its tactical successes, the Mustang's psychological effect on the Luftwaffe cannot be underestimated. As the Allies fielded increasing numbers of P-51s, German pilots found themselves facing an ever-present threat that they could not match in the skies. The once feared Luftwaffe began to crumble under the weight of its losses, and Germany's strategic air defenses faltered. The P-51 Mustang's legacy is cemented not only in its contribution to Allied victory, but also in its enduring influence on future generations of fighter aircraft. Its performance set the bar for what a fighter aircraft could achieve, and it laid the groundwork for future innovations in military aviation. Today, the Mustang remains a beloved icon, not only a reminder of the Allied victory in World War II, but also of the incredible technological achievement that helped make that victory possible.